What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe. Home of the law. Home of the law? Home of the bizarre. Peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO, legend, paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing awesome, taking care of yourselves. Welcome back, welcome back. Funny story is, I already recorded this podcast, and I ran out of space, so I'm redoing this. So that's how much I love you guys. So anyway, welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. You know, it's been a couple days, and I had to take a little bit of time off, so I apologize. But I'm back in it, and I'm going to be bringing you some more podcasts as we go along throughout this week. So I promise that we will be bringing you some more. So this story is really good. This story comes to us from a really cool episode of Cosmic Disclosure on Gaia, where Richard Doty talks about an infiltration of a base in northern Maine in 1971. That's right, Loring Air Force Base in northern Maine near Limestone, Maine. Now, Maine, I don't really think a lot about. I think that it's cold up there, and that's what Stephen King writes about a lot in his novels, and that's where he lives. But as far as I'm concerned, Maine's just like a frozen tundra in my mind. Okay? And a big one at that. It's a big piece of land. Now, how many people go to Maine? Not a lot. How many people even live in Maine? I think that's probably why they chose this place, right? Is that there's not a lot of people living there. Maine, let's see. Oh, yeah, 1.385 million, okay? That's not a lot. That's jack shit. That's like Montana numbers, okay? How big is Maine compared to other states, right? Or Texas. Let's just say, how big is it compared to Texas? Yeah, let's see a little map, okay? Maine is about 8 times smaller than Texas. But they make it look so goddamn big on the map, don't they? Texas is huge, though. It's its own country, so let's face it. But if you look at Maine, the size of it, it's about the size of New York State, which is pretty big in its own right. It's a big piece of New England. So, the question here, my friends, is what happened on the night in winter 1971 in Limestone, Maine at Loring Air Force Base. It was a wintry evening, I must say. And what happened was a Silver Surfer-like alien, a tall one, a basketball-playing one, you might say. Well, maybe he doesn't play basketball. Maybe some cosmic version of basketball. He's 6'5". He has an amazing New Age mask on that covers his entire face, but allows him to see out of a uni-goggle type visor, okay? So it's clear he has 2 eyes, but it goes across his entire face, and then the rest of it has this, like, it's a silver jumpsuit, but it has, like, all of these lines all over it, and, like, they're like designer clothes, man. They're, like, really designer-looking kind of a cool, I don't know who a fake big, like a Versace alien suit, if you will. Now, he just happened to stop by a Air Force base that had some nukes on it. Well, gee, you wonder why an alien in 1971 would be interested in nukes. Well, we had nukes for quite some time. See, we had dropped them on, Nagasaki. We've dropped them on Japan multiple times. These things wipe out 500,000 to 1 million people instantaneously, vaporizing them and killing millions and millions and more with the fallout. So you might say, what the hell does an alien care about that? Well, apparently, we're going to find out. Apparently, they do care about these things. Apparently, they don't care that we dropped them already back in the 40s, but they care about us moving forward. So, why is this important? Do you feel like you've heard this story before? You haven't. Because there's a similar story like this, but it's completely different. Because there's multiple aliens during this particular event, and they attack the Air Force while they're engaged in this particular, I wouldn't say coup, but particular mission. So the security force patroller with his dog is walking along the fence line. This fence line's big. It's 200 yards from end to end. He sees a light in the sky. It's landing right outside of his fence line, right outside his patrol line. Now he realizes this is a problem because nothing's supposed to land in their area. It's not a B-52. It's not one of these big bombers. This base has tons of artillery and munitions. This craft that's landing right outside his fence is a UFO. It's a disc. It seems to be purplish in nature. The alien is 6'5", thin, futuristic suit, futuristic goggles. Looks very menacing. It's looking directly at him. He walks through the fence, leaves no scorched fence behind, almost as if the fence wasn't there in the first place. Now the security forces has to chamber around in his M16 and begin to fire at this guy. He starts to refer to him as the humanoid. He points his M16 at him. The humanoid's tall, 6'5", right? The security forces is 6 foot himself. He tries to radio for help. The radio's dead. So now he's like, okay, well, shit, I got to go make a phone call. Because he starts to shoot. He shoots around at the humanoid. But guess what? It stopped. The humanoid stops. And backed up just a little bit. And then started to continue to progress forward. He grabs the landline phone. The security forces grabs the landline phone. Starts to call his superiors. Starts to say, hey, we got to get the quick assault team up in here fast. We need as much artillery as we can get. We have a break-in. We need the security alert team and the quick response team. All these guys have huge armored vehicles, huge machine guns, like M60s, the QRT, the quick reaction team. So this being walks through the fence. He walks up to Bunker 222, which houses 4 nuclear warheads. He looks at the bunker. He opens the bunker, apparently telepathically. He doesn't appear to be holding any device to open it. He opens the doors. The alien walks in. The alien begins work on a nuclear warhead. This security forces officer doesn't know what the hell to do, so he's calling all these guys in. They all come in, and they all devise a plan. Let's go in, and we got to attack this guy. He's dealing with our nuclear warheads. We have to attack him. So they go in, they start beginning to fire upon him. When they fire upon him, they utilize their M16s. They fire 5 rounds into his chest and 1 into his eye, or where apparently it looks like it was his eye. There's just holes in his vest. That's it. Nothing else. No blood, no nothing. Doesn't stop this individual. They look down. The security forces looks down at the warhead, and what do they see? They see the warhead has been disconnected from the missile. The devices and tools that you need to disconnect the warhead from the missile are detailed, specific, special, and only available to a certain select few military members. These tools are different than any other screwdriver. They can go inside of the screw, expand, go down, expand, and go down again, and they can do all kinds of things. And plus, you got to remember, the military is what? 20 to 50 to maybe even 100 years ahead of anything that we know outside here in the real world. So these special tools are needed, and it takes time. They have 20 screws. This being did it in 20 seconds. It had it disconnected. They bring in bigger guys, bigger military forces. They say, okay, well, the weapons didn't work. Let's try to physically restrain them and handcuff them. So these 2 huge muscle-bound guys walk up to this thing. This silver surfer alien just flings them off like they're flies on his skin. They go flying. They're both injured. What comes next is shocking. What comes next, you're not going to believe. What comes next, you're going to have to wait for a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So, what happened? This being after flinging these two humongous bodyguard type military guys off of him, begins to spin like a fucking dreidel. Begins to spin like a top, like the spinning tops. Begins to spin like nothing you've ever seen before. Sticks its arms out and begins to spin like a top. If you get in this thing's way, it will slice you directly in half. It is like Colossus from the X-Men spinning in a circle. And he starts to rotate around, and it actually hits a guy. And then it goes outside. And then, finally, the quick assault team arrives. Finally, they have something to fight with. Because these guys have an M60 machine gun, and they brought along their M706 Cadillac gauge commando vehicle. This thing is like a super Hummer, a double Hummer on steroids. This thing is huge. Got humongous tractor wheels, has an ultimately armored outside. I mean, the skin on this thing looks like it's like 4 inches thick. Nothing's going to penetrate this thing. So what do they do with this gauge commando vehicle? They run it and accelerate directly into this alien and slam right into him. Knock him out. They turned around. They see two more beings going into the fucking bunker. They're like, holy shit, what do we do now? So they bust out the M60, and they see these guys these aliens working on their nuclear warheads. So what do? They begin to open fire. It actually knocks one down. Now you might say, holy shit, wait a minute. Why are we shooting at a nuclear warhead? The bullets aren't going to set off a nuclear warhead. They start shooting inside the bunker. They knock one guy down. The other guy begins to do the spinning top routine again. Well, for him, it's the first time, and he spins right out through the fence. Gets the fuck out of there. He's like, I'm out. Spin out. Spins right through the fence. Doesn't leave any damage. They decide, hey, we got this one that we knocked down with the M60. Let's get our forklift out. Let's lift him up onto a flatbed. Let's get him the fuck out of the nuclear warhead facility, and let's see what we can find out. Well, as they're starting to lift him up onto the flatbed, they notice a nice white light right above them. The first alien that they knocked out got up and got back into his UFO, picks up his buddy, and takes off. Now they're left there with their mouth agape because they have nuclear warheads all over the place that aren't supposed to be just laying around all over the place, disassembled, and they have alien infiltration that they got to only assume can be aliens because it's 1971. Nobody's fucking got UFOs that they know of, and well, maybe the American military did. I don't know, but that's all we know about. So they're left with their mouth agape on the floor and their hands pointed towards the air. You know, like, what the fuck are we going to do? Well, there's not a whole lot you can do in this particular case. You have to question whether or not, if it happens again, can you protect yourself? Why did these guys come? Who the hell are they? And can we even protect ourselves? So, first steps first. Okay, it's 1971. We've already had multiple nuclear weapons drop. Now the aliens know that we're here and we got nukes. The monkeys, the human monkeys, the monkeys at the zoo got the nukes. We're shooting them off. So now they're pissed. They've been trying to stop us using nukes for a long time. The question is why don't they just come up to the government and just say, hey, stop fucking using nukes? Well, apparently that either they did that and it didn't work, or they haven't done that yet. But what they're doing here is that, A, they didn't telepathically communicate with us at all. They just came in for their mission. Their mission only was to disassemble those nuclear warheads. The question is, why? The other second very important question is, if these are aliens are known to put people to sleep, to do abductions, right? They put us to sleep all the time. Take us. We don't even know what happens half the time or most of the time. Why didn't they put these military members to sleep, disassemble the weapons, or take them, or whatever the case is, and leave it at that? They didn't do that, though. They didn't do that at all. Why not? You have the technology. You opened the facility, so clearly you're not human, because there's nobody that's going to be able to open those doors just by looking at it. Okay, they didn't have like a remote control. It's going to open up these fucking doors. Okay, you had to have the position, the keys, all that to open up these doors. This guy's just looking at it. This alien's just looking at it. It's an alien. It's not human. I don't care who it was. It's not like the thing had Bluetooth and he just like hacked into it. No. And plus, this guy had a fucking UFO. Okay, so it's not humans. It's 1971. Let's say the aliens crashed in 1947. So that puts us, 23 years later, 24 years later. Did Russia have a workable UFO and the ability to walk through a fence and the bulletproof capability of having a suit that didn't even affect it? Not to mention the insane spinning technology, or whatever you want to call it, that would seriously knock a human out with the gravitational pull of them spinning like a fucking top, knocking people out, running into a Cadillac Gauge, which is like a huge Hummer against, not a fucking big old boat car like you would think a Cadillac would be. No, this thing's a huge armored vehicle, and get run over and then be able to jump into the UFO and take off. Nobody would have had the capability in 1971, man. We didn't even have VCRs yet. So don't tell me that we had the capability to do all that, okay? So the question is, what the fuck happened, and what the fuck were they trying to tell us? Well, what happened was it was an alien species, some alien species. And they wanted to intimidate because they didn't send the little grays. They sent a big 6'5" guy, meaning, in my mind, it probably wasn't any gray civilization unless there was some tall gray that we're talking about. It might have been the Nordics. If it was the reptilians, I'm assuming they would have been bigger. I'm assuming they would have been more like 8, 9, 10 feet tall. So I'm thinking either Nordics or the tall grays that are not, that are not. See, those guys were robotic. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Unless they have a suit that allows them to just like fucking spin like a top. I don't know, but they didn't communicate. That's the weird thing, right? Is that they did not communicate. If they would have been a sentient being, they could have communicated and said, hey, we're going to disassemble these things. Tell your superiors to stop using these. Right? That would have been a nice thing to say. That would have been a smart thing to say. That would have been like, hey, mission partially fulfilled, right? At least they would have known why they were there, why they were disassembling them. Could have just said, hey, stop using this shit, guys. You guys are fucking us up. You guys are fucking up everybody else, too. You're screwing up the timeline. You're screwing up maybe not the timeline, but you're screwing up space-time. And you're screwing up, you're causing radiation and pollution on your planet. And we're here, too, and we want to use this planet for our beings as well. Whatever they wanted to say, they could have said. They didn't say anything. So either A, they were robots, which I'm assuming they were for another species, which could have been anybody, really. These could have been just 6'5" robot militants that were created just for these military purposes. Could have been. But we'd never really hear about them when the little grays are involved, so I'm just wondering who they are. They're telling us not to use nukes. They're telling us not to do it ever again, but we've continued to use them. Could this event have been the start of many other similar events that we have never heard of and have happened and have initiated the Nuclear Arms Treaty Reduction Act to reduce the amount of nuclear proliferation around the world, to have a promise to reduce nuclear arms around the world? Maybe that's the case. But America always seems to push things in their favor, and let's face it, I'm sure every other country probably does the same thing, and they hide things. But apparently it's hard to hide these nuclear weapons. Apparently they give off too much of radiation, and people with these satellites can find out. Wouldn't it be interesting if so many of these satellites were just for nuclear monitoring? Well, gee, I bet you they are. Just to find out how many people are really engaged in these nuclear warheads. So, are we in cahoots with some alien species now? You know, trying to get them on our side, trying to reduce our nuclear capability? Wouldn't we want to keep our nuclear capability so that if we had to fight an alien species, we'd have some kind of device to fight against them with? Well, people report that we do have other devices like scalar technology, which is more like frequency technology that can go anywhere you want it to go. It's not limited by the curvature of the Earth. You can shoot it through the Earth. You can shoot it, at a distance farther than what a missile could hit. There's so many things you could do with scalar technology. So this is just another very fascinating case, and I think that it bears a good conversation. If you're going to have a nice conversation with somebody, ask them why they sent somebody down, didn't communicate, didn't put these guys to sleep, were spinning around like a top, and left without any communication, not even a little Santa note. Well, anyway, speaking of Santa, we might be talking about Santa in the next podcast. So, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Take a look at it on Gaia if you want. They got an episode about it. It's a little bit longer than this, but it's a little bit more detail, but it's kind of boring detail. I kind of shrunk it down for you. Makes it easier to listen to, in my opinion, just in this particular instance. And I love you guys. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves physically, spiritually, emotionally. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams, and as always, continue to question the universe around you. Until next time, guys, take care. Lockdown Universe out. Peace.